The old woman's scream tore through the quiet afternoon like a blade. It wasn't the kind of cry people could ignore, it was sharp, trembling, filled with a lifetime of pain and fear. Passers-by froze, unsure whether to help or stay out of trouble. But a few meters away, the deep rumble of motorcycle engines came to life. 3 bikers, their tattoos gleaming under the sun, turned their heads sharply. What they saw made every ounce of adrenaline in their bodies surge. An elderly woman, no older than 70, stood shaking beside the pavement, her shopping bag scattered. A man in a black hoodie had a gun aimed straight at her chest. He snatched her purse and ran, pushing her to the ground as if she were nothing more than a piece of trash. The world watched, but no one moved. Except the bikers. The leader of the trio, a rough-looking man named Jake, slammed down his helmet visor. "Let's move," he growled. The roar of their engines filled the street as they took off, the sound echoing like thunder. What the robber didn't know was that he'd just messed with the wrong kind of people, the kind who didn't believe in standing by when someone helpless cried for help. As the bikes tore down the street, the old woman struggled to get up. Her name was Martha. She'd just left the pharmacy after buying medicine for her late husband's old heart condition, a medicine she could barely afford even for herself now. Her trembling hands reached for her fallen bag, but her strength was gone. People around her whispered, but no one came close. That's how the world had become, full of eyes, short on hearts. Jake's bike screeched around a corner as he spotted the man sprinting through a side alley. His crew followed Ryan, the youngest, and Lucas, a veteran rider with a bad leg but a bigger heart. The thief jumped a fence, but Jake gunned the throttle, swerving around to cut him off from the other side. The man stumbled as the bikes boxed him in. "You picked the wrong grandma today," Jake said coldly, stepping off his bike. The thief raised his gun again, hands shaking, but Lucas kicked it out of his hand in one swift motion. It hit the ground with a metallic clatter. The man tried to run, but Ryan grabbed him by the jacket and slammed him against the wall. "You think pointing a gun at a woman twice your age makes you a man," he snarled. The thief's voice cracked. "Please, I just needed the money," but Jake's glare silenced him. "We all need money," Jake said quietly. "But some of us don't steal it from the weak." Instead of hitting him, Jake did something no one expected. He picked up the old woman's purse, dusted it off, and said, "You're going to walk back with us. And you're going to apologize." The biker gang escorted the trembling thief down the street like guards leading a prisoner, their engines idling low but powerful. People began to gather again, whispering. Martha still sat on the curb, clutching her side, eyes wide when she saw them coming. "Ma'am," Jake said, kneeling beside her, "he's sorry." The thief mumbled an apology, but Martha didn't yell. She just looked at him, eyes full of disappointment. "You didn't just steal my bag," she whispered, "you stole peace from a heart that already lost too much." Jake's jaw tightened. He handed her the bag, and then turned to the man. "You hear that? You took her peace. You want to make it right? Earn it back." He called over Ryan, who took out his phone and called the police, but not to report the man. Instead, Jake asked for a community officer they knew, someone who ran rehab programs for young offenders. "You'll work it off," Jake said to the thief. "Every day until you remember what respect feels like." When the police arrived, they recognized Jake's crew instantly. They weren't a typical gang, they were known for helping people on the streets, calling themselves the Iron Hearts. A mix of ex-soldiers, mechanics, and lost souls who'd once walked the wrong path but turned their pain into protection. Martha looked up at Jake with tears glimmering in her eyes. "Why did you help me?" she asked softly. Jake gave her a half-smile. "Because once, someone helped my mother when I couldn't." That night, Martha sat in her small kitchen, her hands trembling not from fear but from gratitude. Outside, the growl of motorcycles faded into the night. She didn't know their last names, or where they came from, but she prayed for them. Not because they saved her purse, but because they reminded her that goodness still fought back, even in the darkest corners of daylight. The next morning, the city's local news ran the story. Elderly woman robbed at gunpoint, bikers deliver instant justice. People shared it everywhere, praising the heroes in leather jackets. But for Jake and his crew, it wasn't about fame. It was about the moment they heard a scream and didn't ignore it. Weeks later, the same alley where the robbery happened became part of a local outreach zone, where Jake and Martha worked together to distribute food and supplies to the poor. The same thief, whose name was Aaron, showed up every day, now helping others. He'd started smiling again. Martha always greeted him with tea and said, "You're forgiven, but don't waste this second chance." And when the sun set over the street where fear once ruled, the sound of engines echoed softly, 3 bikers riding off again, not for violence, but for justice, ready to answer the next cry for help. Sometimes heroes don't wear capes. They wear helmets, carry scars, and fight with heart. And when the world goes silent in fear, they're the ones who roar.